Krishna, so many assembled already. Sure. Yes, but it's very small. I like to see it here too. Yeah. Suresh Krishna. Annavat. Yeah. Ajita.
Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
And all the assembled devotees already assembling, very punctual. And Prem Narayan Prabhu again with us, happily. Prem Narayan Prabhu. Happy surprise to have you with us day by day.
Yes.
Krishna, 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 hey. All right. Russian and Chinese interpretations available. Click on the bottom right-hand side if anybody needs Russian or Chinese. If you do, you won't understand what I'm saying. Jai Shvat Paramananda Prabhu. Ki Jai. Right, I see we're recording already. So let us first begin by offering obeisances to the Vaishnavas who are present, headed by Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. And you can see where we are. We're sitting near and not exactly with our backs to, a little bit sideways to, a remembrance of Srila Narottam Das Thakur's Pushpa Samadhi at the Radha-Gokulananda temple. And the Pushpa Samadhi here is fashioned or designed after that Pushpa Samadhi in Vrindavan and came very beautifully, as you can see. And here behind Krishna Kanta Devi Rasi, Madhurananda Prabhu Shanti Moy Devi Rasi, and we're expecting Keshavananda Prabhu's arrival, but from the London Zoom.
Oh.
Because he flew to London this morning because the time was up. We all have a limited time on this world. We all have a limited time in countries which are not our, quote, our own country. Even in our own country, we have a limited time. Yes. Let us all be reminded of that. So he's safely in London. He got there, and we're expecting him to arrange our rickshaws and all those things from that Zoom portal.
And maybe one of London taxis.
Maybe London taxi goes in there.
I hope they accept rupees.
And also, when we first see a sannyasi, we should give our respects. And Rishikesh Maharaj has just joined us. I'm not sure if he can actually hear us yet. It doesn't look like it. Oh, yes, his
remember, he's listening to Nityananda Das.
All right, Nityananda Das Prabhu, please extend to Srila Rishikesh Maharaj our obeisances on seeing him. And no doubt he'll be with many devotees there, the Abkhazia Bhakta Vrinda, and southern Russia Bhakta Vrinda too. Many devotees. And Pavan Krishna Prabhu today is with us. Just see. We know he's there every day, but today we can see a mug shot of him.
He's a monitor.
Huh?
Monitor.
Monitor. Ah, yes. He's fixed on the monitor. All right. So during our few minutes as the devotees are gathering, then Maharaj, I understand that today will come from our Vrindavan, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mata mission in Vrindavan, and we'll walk from there to the temple of Sri Radha-Gokulananda, where we were yesterday, to continue the Harikatha there, Maharaj. Is that correct? In front of
Yes, but before we go,
yes,
you inspire as just so everyone understands why there's sort of a subtext or theme of in connection with the Chinese devotees that we began this to bring them to the holy Dham, and so each day, if we can hear a little something, and we have prepared Indumukhi DD, who's now in Texas. She made this video of Jamuna from China, who's now in Salt Lake City with Sri Lanka and the others. And it's a few minutes to, it's a very nice thing. Before we go outside and start walking towards Radha-Gokulananda Mandir, if we can watch this, I think everyone will be delighted.
Maharaj, I'm sure we'll all be nourished, and we look forward to it.
Hare Krishna.
So are the Zoom operators ready? They can show this now, or do you want to show in a moment?
So
当然，在中国，
make it big.
我们是有不同的文化，但是呢，我们也有相同的地方，都是有历史非常的悠长、悠久。那我们在中国信奉儒释道文化，那我们中国人也是非常勤劳，还有奉献的这种精神，但是我们可能更注重的就是人和人之间的这种奉献的精神。但是在印度当中，就是对神明的一种崇拜，更加倾向于就是，或许我们看不到一些实际的东西，但是可以如此的虔诚，这是非常令人震撼的。
Vairagi Yud Bhakti Rasa Prayatne Apayamman Anabit Samandam Kripam Buddhiyak Paraduka Duki Sanatana Svam Prabhum Asrayam. Hare Krishna. Jai Sanatana Goswami Mukhi Jai. And is Mukhi there? So if Indumukhi, excuse me, Chandra, also Indu. We have Indulekha Indumukhi from China. She will say a few words about her experience on the Brajamandal parikrama. Jai Indumukhi Ki Jai. Can we hear?
Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today I'm very happy I could share my experience in Vrindavan. So I really remember the second time I was fortunate to visit the Vrindavan temple. And in that time, I'm alone, only one Chinese girl in visit there. And I really don't know what's happened in my stomach. Always have problem, and also one time I got a fever and very serious. Some devotee, I remember Japanese devotee Ajitaja, and help me to call the doctor Jayakumar Samabu to give me medicine, and I really recover me a lot. And I heard Avadhut Maharaj and group with some Russian devotee also come. In that time, I'm really excited to see him. And he asked me, how are you? How about you? And I said, I'm sick. And Avadhut Maharaj said, it's a good thing. It's burning your karma. In that time, I really recover a lot. And the American devotee Ramachandra also 6 day bring some bowl to me, and I saw, when I opened it, I saw it's Chinese noodle. It's really
Cure.
because one day I connect Yuda Manu Prabhu. I talked to him a lot, and he always protect, and he said, I asked them to help you if Chinese devotees have some problem. Please take care of that Chinese girl. It's really, I got a lot mercy from our devotees. So from this year, we really grow up a lot, and by the mercy of Gurudev Vaishnava, we hope in the future do more service for our devotional group.
Jai. Jai Indumukhi DD ki jai. The Chinese Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Yudamanyu Prabhu ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Beautiful. And something we can all relate to. Because whenever you go to the Dham, some price will be exacted from you. We just understand that and expect it, and maybe not happily at the time, but then we realize if you're going to be in this divine abode, maybe it's an indication that some purification is going on. So then we're happy for that. So Maharaj, take us there. How many chants? And
all right. Well, we've got more participants. So that those who have just joined us in the last few minutes, then our obeisances to you all. We've just heard a little snippet from the Chinese devotees, and really it is from the Chinese devotees, Srila Goswami Maharaj's mercy upon them and others, but the Chinese in particular, that we have this opportunity to start at the beginning of Kartik, the parikramas each year for the last few years, including this year too. So let us now chant. We are at our temple, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati of Vrindavan.
Seva Kunj.
At Seva Kunj, and we're in front of the deities of Shri Guru Gauranga, Gandhava, Rasabihari Jiu. And let us give our obeisances to the deities, and then we'll come with the chanting. Yes, because it's the beginning, let's start with 2 Panchatattvas and 3 Mahamantras, and then we will mystically transport ourselves by foot all the way to the Radha-Gokulananda temple, where we will meet Keshavananda Prabhu, who's just joined us from the outside world of London, Jesse. Welcome, Keshavananda boy. See you then.
Hare Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Garadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Advaita Garadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo. So please come into the Radha-Gokulananda compound. As we come in, if you brought your shoes with you, leave your shoes inside the gate, but not inside the temple area, because otherwise the monkeys will take. And when we come in, there's the Tulsi Devi right in front of us. To the left, when we're going in, is the Samadhi area, and to the right are the deities. So, Maharaj, I think first we come to the left, we'll come in front of Lokanath Goswami's Samadhi, Vishvanath Chakravarti's Pushpa Samadhi, Narottam Das Thakur's Pushpa Samadhi, and more. More Pushpa Samadhi. So we'll come there, and then maybe at the end, if we have time, and if the deities are open, we'll go through to have darshan of the deities of Vishvanath Chakravarti, Baladev Vidyabhusan, Raghunath Das Goswami's Giriraj Shila given to him by Mahaprabhu, if we have time at the end of the discussion, Maharaj, the discourse. So let us come in, give our obeisances, and the carpets are already laid out because the resident devotees there are always prepared for the pilgrims to come in. So the carpets are already there. Let us come and sit. And Maharaj, please, we give you a nice seat, and we are all ears to hear from you, your Hare Katha, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada. Yesterday, we tried to sing the glories of Srila Lokanath Goswami, Prabhu, Parshada, devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of course Narottam Thakur, the Narottam Paribar. It's his line. Like we have, if you look at the prominent, means most prominent, Rupanuga from Mahaprabhu, the Rupanuga line, and then Narottam Thakur, the Narottam Paribar, and then to Bhakti Vinod, the Bhakti Vinod Paribar that Guru Maharaj emphasized, that Saraswati Thakur instilled in his followers, that they're the Bhakti Vinod Paribar, that line, that family. But other, and in terms of the disciplic succession, whom all we revere, but Gurudev said it's like when you have a current, because Guru Maharaj is another original concept from Srila Guru Maharaj is the Shiksha Guru Parampara, to trace that current, right? As we told with regard to him, Saraswati Thakur, the Rupanuga Dara, who's carrying that current. So in that descent, Gurudev said it's like a electrical line that sometimes even goes underground, and then it comes up into a big lamp post and is providing so much light, and then it may go underground again and then resurface and give so much illumination. So it was a wonderful example to hear. But the person who is most, you could say, enamored and completely taken by Narottam Thakur and his teachings as Srila Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur. And we should say, with regard to Narottam Thakur, he has these famous works, Prema Bhakti Chandrika and Prarthana. And we know, as Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say about Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he'd say, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was a very humorous fellow. Because when we see him, he's so grave that's beyond our imagination. But so many stories we hear about him, they do have an element of humor in them. And so as Prabhupada said, he was a very humorous fellow, because we hear some gentleman from Calcutta heard that, who dismissed everyone as being a bogus avatar, Siddha Mahatma, like they just didn't want to hear about it anymore. Someone told him, there's one real one left. Who's that? Gaurkishore Das Babaji. They go to him and they're doing, Babaji Maharaj, we want your blessings, we want your grace. And he said, oh, then don't go back to Calcutta, just stay here. and chant Hare Krishna with me, forever. That's my invitation to you. And Prabhupada said, they immediately fled away. That's when he said, Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj is a very humorous fellow. So, and Gurudev said at our Dvaita Das Seva Ashram there in Govardhan, when the devotees were so much coughing, like Indumukhi DD was saying, getting some sickness there. So all the devotees are coughing and Govardhan, and Gurudev, with his characteristic deadpan and sense of humor, he said, but, because they're saying it's so dusty there and the wind blowing, he said, but Prabhu, I thought you were praying for that dust. You sang so many songs, how eager you were for that dust, and now that dust has come to you. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj was also very humorous. Right? And the words of Srila Prabhupada, a transcendental humorist. Because it's not funny for the sake of being funny, but all these things have some underlying spiritual purpose and teaching, revealing something to us. So Babaji Maharaj would say some things that were just enigmatic or apparently inexplicable or contradictory, that seemed to go against really his teachings. We know when he heard the professional Bhagavad reciter, the man who forced him to suffer through one of his readings, at the conclusion, Babaji Maharaj said, get some cow dung and cow urine and purify this place. And the people are thinking, wait, it says in the Bhagavatam, wherever it is recited, how it purifies that very place, the speaker, the hearers, the inquirers. And he just spoke the Bhagavatam, and you're telling us, get some cow dung and cow urine and purify this place. And Babaji Maharaj said, you heard Bhagavatam. All I heard was money, money, money. Right? Sanatana Goswami says, Avaishnava Mukod Girnam Putam Harikatam Ritam Sravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpo Chistam Yatapayo. That do not hear Bhagavatam from what they call a Vaishnava, not a Vaishnava, but a Vaishnava means someone who's not a Vaishnava or who's posing as a Vaishnava. And what does he say? Because Shravanam Naiva Kartavya means do not hear from them. You go, well, wait, I thought it is Hari Katha, it is Krishna Katha. In the Gopi Gita it says, Tava Katam Ritam Tapta. It's life-giving nectar, life-saving nectar. And now you're telling us not to hear that. Yes, Shravana Naiva Kartavyam, Sarpo Chistam Yatapayo. Sarpa Uchista means the remnant, we take prasad, you're saying, it is the remnants of, like when the snake, cobra, takes milk. It becomes poisonous. It's milk, but it's now milk infused with poison. So when someone takes the name of Krishna, describes the pastimes of Krishna, or sings the songs of Krishna with some ulterior motive, like self-assertion for name and fame, it's infused with the poisonous substance of pratishta, which is the greatest enemy to devotion. So Babaji Maharaj there said, I heard rupees, 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 not Bhagavatam. So to hear from Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, to turn to the similar or same group of people and say to them, how do you get Krishna Prem? No, Babaji Maharaj, you please tell us, how do we get Krishna Prem? Have you got 5 rupees? Yes, I've got 5. All you need are 5 rupees. What? Yeah, if you have 5 rupees, you can get Krishna Prem. So how can Babaji Maharaj say this? And what he meant was these 2 books, Prema Bhakti Chandrika and Prarthana, with all the songs of Narottam Thakur, And so they're available, 250 each, total 5 rupees. If you've got 5 rupees, he means to say, what he's trying to tell us is everything you need to get Krishna Prem, to be Krishna conscious, is within the songs of Narottam Thakur. That's his, so humor, little bit of humor, outrage, and does he know how to get someone's attention too, by saying something so apparently outrageous. So how glorious are the songs of Narottam Thakur, and Sri Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur, so utterly charmed and captured by that same divine substance that is in there. And his specialty is to extract spiritual substance from even things that seem trivial. So when we read the Sar Artha Darshini Tika, his commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam, even things that are just apparently descriptive, he's mining all sorts of Siddhantic jewels from there. If it says, you know, the sun rose in the eastern, the moon rose in the eastern horizon just before the Rasa Leela, he will explain, oh, actually the eastern horizon's husband is Indra, and the moon represents Krishna, Chandra, Vangsha, and that is having some connection with the eastern horizon is indicative of the very nature of these divine pastimes. And all it says is the moon rose in the eastern sky. And he's like milking, you know, extracting this really more. The jewel, stick with that again. The jewel, he's mining Siddhantic gems, right? That's what Guru Maharaj would say something. Mining, you know, gems from the Brahmaloka, from the spiritual divine substance. So that, and sometimes also we wonder, how does this all work? The whole Krishna conscious thing, right? You know, if you're following what is being said, you know, it may occur to you from time to time, you know, back to home, back to Godhead, if you're faithful to the lotus feet of Sri Guru, how gradually you'll make progress. And there are sometimes discussions about entering the spiritual world, and, you know, Muktir hit banyata rupam svarovena vibhastiti, that in the truly liberated state, one's swarup will re-reveal, you know, many, many things are there. And we don't think of these things most of the time, but sometimes it might have occurred, well, how do you go really transition from here to there, right? Vishvanath Chakravarti can explain it, right? And so we hear in the, he can explain everything, every detail. So we hear in the famous Bhagavad Gita sloka, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha chaktva punar janma naiti mam eti sorjana, where Krishna is saying, if you are fortunate enough to come in connection with my agents and get a proper conception of my descent into this world and my various pastimes, avatars, incarnations, or as we heard from Kaviraj Goswami, the internal reason for the descent of Mahaprabhu, all these kind of things. He's saying, then, tyaktva deham punar janma naiti. When you give up this body, you won't have to be born again in this world. So, tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mam eti sorjuna. And mam eti, you will achieve me. Remember, Krishna is not alone. Means Radha and Krishna, Lalita Vishaka, Rupa Rati, Nanda Yashoda, Sridham, you know, the whole spirit. So when Krishna says, you'll attain me, it means entrance into the Krishna world, right? The Radha Krishna world. So, but again, how? So Sanatana Goswami, Guru said, in his commentary on the sloka says that that person they will be transferred to a universe where Krishna's pastimes are in play. Because we hear elsewhere that they last for a period of 125 years in one universe, then go to the next universe, next universe, next universe, like that. So Sanatana Goswami is saying, this verse is saying, you'll be transferred to a universe where, Hare Krishna, stop. You'll be transferred to a universe where Krishna's pastimes are in play. And then he says this, and appear in the womb of a Braja Gopi. Right? So now Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he's describing the Rasa Lila section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that we're about the moon rising in the eastern sky. So when Krishna gives the indication, now is the time for these divine pastimes, Yogamaya has to supply the servitors. In one sense, it's simple. Like there's some seva. Think of it this: there's some seva that needs to be performed. Yogamaya will assemble the qualified servitors for that seva. We should never forget. It is like, what is where's our mat located? Where did we just come from? The Seva Kunj, right? That name is very important. It is Seva. It means there is no aggression, no exploitation, but just self-giving, self-sacrifice, self-offering. So Vishvanath Chakravarti, he analyzes this and he gives a beautiful example to explain. He's saying, when a king says he wants to enjoy mangoes, then the chef goes to a mango tree and picks so many mangoes, they just pick so many, and then they bring them back to, say, the kitchen. And then looking at them more carefully says, all right, this one is ripe now. Oh, this one needs a little more sun and ripening, and divides them up. He said, so then we see some, when Krishna sounds his flute, some are able to answer the call of Krishna's flute, while others, for some reason, are obstructed and cannot go. And then we're told they go at a later time. So Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur says, yes, for those who were not fully ripe. And then we can understand this gradual transition and transformation. Just like that mango, say it's put in modern context, in a brown paper bag and put on the windowsill, and then the heat and light will bring it to the fully ripened stage. Chakravarti Thakur says, the fire of separation by not being allowed to go. Think of how devastating that is. After millions of lifetimes, perhaps, they've finally reached this position, and they've grown up in Vrindavan, hearing about Krishna from the fruit sellers and the others who are singing they're selling fruit, but singing the praises of this boy, Govinda, and the marvelous things he's doing. And through sound and hearing of these things, they're developing some appreciation for Krishna, like Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Srindatamte. Like the Queen Rukmini says, by hearing about you, I understand you're the most beautiful thing in the world and beyond, and why we are gifted with the auditory sense. So they, as Sanatana Goswami said, they're born there, then raised, hearing about Krishna from their birth throughout, developing this eagerness and hankering. It reaches the point answering the flute song of Krishna, and they're obstructed. What does that do? He's saying it ignites a fire of separation in the heart. And if there was anything remaining that was, what's the word I shall use? Untoward, Madhusudan Maharaj? Untoward. That'll be the most, yeah. So if anything was there, the fire of that separation destroys that. So now they reach the fully ripened stage, and then the next, perhaps the next moon, the next time they're allowed to go. Vishvanath Chakravarti, he's the master of extracting these things from the most seemingly relatively, I don't want to use it trivial, but simple or details, right? So we hear how Goswami Maharaj, Aprakrita Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, praised Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, because Govinda Maharaj just saw a picture, this famous picture of Saraswati Thakur with Governor John Anderson, and Goswami Maharaj is next to him, and you see Saraswati Thakur looking so incredible, and we even made a blow-up of his hand. It's so mystical to see the lines on his palm, because it's a high-res picture, and he has a garland, and Governor John Anderson has a garland, but Goswami Maharaj not. So Gurudev seen that picture, and he was young at the time, Gorendu Brahmachari, and he's saying, he said, oh, I know why you're not wearing a garland in this picture. And Goswami says, what? No, everyone who should have a garland has a garland. Prabhupada has a garland, and our honorable guest, Governor John Anderson, has a garland. And Srila Govinda said, no, but Maharaj, you should have a garland also. He said, but on this day, the garland maker and arranging for the garlands, there was some mix-up, and he came and, of course, you know, Aprakrita Prabhu and the Nityananda Banksha line, but the real one, he gave you a garland, and he gave Prabhupada a garland. But you seeing that there wasn't one available for our VIP guest, you took your garland and you put that on the governor. And Goswami Maharaj said, you have crossed over Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur. So that meaning, that kind of granular extract, you know, he goes deep into these details that would not be noticeable to the average reader or even the extraordinary reader. It's something unique to Srila Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur. So much so, and at the end of one of his his commentaries, he has this verse where he's begging the readers. He says, you know, he says, forgive me for becoming a jeweler. Right? It's also, why? What is he saying? Forgive me for becoming a jeweler? He's saying as if he's conducting some sort of business and he's gotten involved in jewelry. What does he mean? But what he's saying, but I think that you may appreciate these things. What does he mean? The jeweler, he's extracting Siddhantic gems. That's what he means. Forgive me for becoming a jeweler. So we're all so appreciative of Srila Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he wrote the most beautiful song and glorification of Sri Guru, the Gurvastakam. Each line ends with Bande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, beginning with, you know, Samsara Dava Nalalila Loka to Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nrita Gita, you know, Sri Vigraha Aradhana Nityanana, Chatur Vidhat Sri Bhagavat Prasado, Sri Radhika Madhavyo Rapara, Madhurya Lila Guna Rupanamnam, Nikunjayuno Rati Keli Siddhai. Just see how he's taking you from the beginning, going higher, higher, deeper, more specific. Sakshad Hari Tena Samasta Shastre Kintu Prabhoya Priya Evatasya. Guru Maharaj used this line to say, he's saying that, I must stop this. One moment. I guess it was because of Dayam Stuvam Yasasri Sandam getting to that part that the Sri Madhur Brahma Muhurti, that part. is reminding me of Brahma Muhurta. But so Guru Maharaj said, Sakshat Haritena Samasta Shastre Yuktastatava Vyateva Sadhi. All the Shastras proclaim we should see Sri Guru as Krishna, Sakshat Hari, directly Krishna, not representation or see Krishna, Acharya Mam Vijaniyat, Navamanyeta Karachid. But then it says Kintu means but. Kintu Prabhoya Priya, as I told you, Achyuta Priya, Prabhu Priya, the one who is most dear to Krishna. I say, well, wait, first you're saying Krishna, now you're saying who's most dear to Krishna? Oh, I should understand my Guru as being most dear to Krishna? Yes, but of all those who are dear to Krishna, who is most dear to Krishna? Right? His Priya, Srimati Radharani. So he's saying the shift takes place, that as just as from the greatest distance we see approaching the Himalaya, we see Everest, and as we focusing on Everest make our approach, the proof positive that we're going in the right direction and that we're coming nearer is when we come in connection with the surrounding subordinate peaks of Everest. So he's saying focus on Sri Guru in the beginning as Krishna, and that the proof positive you're going in the right direction is when you realize the shift has taken place from Krishna to Srimati Radharani. And here we are again in Kartik Mas, the Damadharma, the month of Srimati Radharani. All devotion, and would always come back to her holy lotus feet. And when Srila Guru Maharaj would explain this, for us, really we underwent some transformation because we were so Krishna-centric in a particular way that you could say what we understood up to that point, we considered Krishna in the primary position and Radharani secondary, Mahaprabhu, etc. And coming into connection with Srila Guru Maharaj, who is someone who would say, when I think of Radharani, I lose my existence. He would make statements like that. Consideration of Radharani and Mahaprabhu, I consider everything else to be trash. Right? So when we came in connection with Srila Guru Maharaj, then that focus, the same focus given by the Goswamis, we told consistently in Govardhan, Radha Kund, Uddhava Kund, that the target being Radha Dasyam, the seva, the service of her holy lotus feet, the transition took place and Srimati Radharani seen in the primary position and Krishna in the secondary position, and through her having connection with Krishna. So Guru Maharaj extracted all of that from Kintu Prabhoya Priya, Prabhu Priya Evatasya, Bande Guru Sri Charanarabindam. And of course, lastly, Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado, that line. So we're so indebted to Srila Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur, and how fitting that there, because we go, say, being pulled by Radha-Gokulananda and the other deities, and I'll let others speak to that, and also Narottam Thakur, and then we're like so overwhelmed and happy and delighted when we see, oh, Lokanath Goswami, oh, really, it's Lokanath Goswami, it's and there's Narottam, and oh, Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur, and as Maharaj said, other great devotees. So now others can describe something. I think Paramananda Prabhu, you could say something about the Narottam in praise of Narottam Thakur, and Maharaj, or you yourself say, or Keshavananda Prabhu, about describe the deities there. Perhaps you could do that because you're most familiar with Radha-Gokulananda and the surrounding deities.
Yes, Raj, I can do that, but
yeah.
I really want Keshavananda Prabhu because he is our man in Vrindavan.
Yes.
to do the presentation of the deities.
I think he will join. You say something and he will join
Okay,
in.
so Keshavananda Prabhu.
Paramananda Prabhu. Keshavananda's battery has died.
Oh,
So we'll have to represent him.
They need to sprinkle some nectar. Like whenever the Mac, our computers would die in Navadiptam, and when there was just, you tried everything and there was just no hope. You tried everything possible. Then we would take it to Mahananda Prabhu. Right? I say that in a particular context to bring a certain image to mind. And he would sometimes place a Bhagavad Gita and a garland, and he would chant some mantras, and lo and behold, the computer would come back to life. So Keshavananda can do his best to revive that, and then the interim, Paramananda Prabhu will do his best to describe the glories of Radha-Gokulananda and surrounding deities.
At least if you like, Paramananda Prabhu, I can take us into the temple room.
Yes.
Let us once do parikrama. We can do this simply by walking around the Samadhi of Lokanath Goswami and the Samadhis of Vishvanath Chakravarti, the Pushpa Samadhis of Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur and Ganga Narayan Chakravarti. Is that correct?
Yes, Ganga Narayan Chakravarti.
And then as we go around there, incidentally, if we look to the left and up, we can see the dome of the Radha Gopinath temple, which is very nearby, just as we go around there. But we'll do one parikrama and then we'll walk past the way we came in through the door, just past Tulsi, across that little Tulsi courtyard, and then into the main deities. And at this time, I'm sure they're open. So we can go in there and have darshan. And Maharaj, the deities that are there, they are the deity of Vishvanath Chakravarti, which was the actual Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda deity. So Gokulananda worshipped by Vishvanath Chakravarti. And also here is Narottam Das Thakur's Mahaprabhu that he worshipped. It's, when we look at the altar, it's on the left, though in India, traditionally, they say on the right side of the altar because they take everything from the subject, from where Krishna is standing. So from that point of view, it's the right side from our point of view. On the left side of the altar is Mahaprabhu, worshipped by Narottam Das Thakur. And then there's Vijay Govinda, worshipped by Baladev Vidyabhusan.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. Lokanath Goswami's deity was Radha Vinod. Excuse me. I do know that. I got things a little muddled up. Radha Vinod is worshipped by Lokanath Goswami. Vijay Govinda, worshipped by Baladev Vidyabhusan, and Narottam Das Thakur's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Maharaj, you know, at the front of the altar, on a separate little asan, then there is the Giriraj that was given by Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami with the imprint of the thumb of Mahaprabhu, where he used to hold it to his chest and to his eyes and rub the Giriraj stone, Shila, with his thumb. And for a small or generous donation to the Pujari, then we're able to have darshan of that Giriraj Shila. So this is on the altar, and here we can give obeisances, and then we can now invite Paramananda Prabhu to say a few words here in the temple room of the Radha Gokulananda temple.
Yes, well, beautiful presentation. Actually, pujaris there are very friendly. So even without any donations, if you just smile and humbly ask, oh, can we have a darshan of that? They're giving. And
your smile, Paramananda Prabhu.
We're giving anyway, Maharaj. But also have to mention this particular type of the temple, because it's a Haveli temple. And like when we go to Nathadwar later on, we will see that It's a house. Haveli is the house where the whole family would live, and sometimes several families would live. But in the center location of that compound of Haveli, there will be a temple, and the Lord, Thakur, he will be the proprietor of the whole Haveli, of the whole house. And the whole life will be centered around him. So this is one of the few remaining Haveli temples in Vrindavan. Not so many left. So this is Radha-Gokulananda Mandir.
And Radha-Gokulananda themselves, by the way, I don't think I mentioned, they are worshipped by Vishvanath Chakravarti, who we were just
yes, Maharaj.
Hearing, yes.
They're the deities of Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur. And I think the smallest ones, they're from Lokanath Das Goswami, the Radha Vinod, the ones that are in front.
Yeah, the answer is probably yes.
We're sitting here and, you know, I have to say something about Narottam Das Thakur again, since yesterday was his disappearance, and we heard so many wonderful things from Srila Goswami Maharaj. And we know that Srila Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur, he came in line of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. I think he was his grand disciple, or disciple of one of his disciples, and a Chakravarti. And like Ganga Narayan Chakravarti you just mentioned, if you look at Lokanath Das Goswami's Samadhi, it's right on the left. It's a very humble Samadhi, but he was one of the great followers of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And actually that created a lot of, we can say, waves in the Brahmin community when that happened. When Ganga Narayan Chakravarti, the famous Brahmin from very aristocratic family, who upheld Brahminical principles, followed Vedic principles, but he always had this devotional disposition on his heart. He joined Narottam Das Thakur, became one of his main associates. And in that connection, I can tell the story, which we already told in the morning, but the story is that since so many Brahmins were initiated, converted into Vaishnavas by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, so many rumors were spreading everywhere in India. And one great Pandit who lived in a kingdom not too far away from Bengal, he heard about it and he knew about Ganga Narayan Chakravarti. And he said, what is going on? If Ganga Narayan Chakravarti joined Narottam, there must be some kind of magic played by Narottam. This is how he converts everybody. So this is what happened. So we must uphold the Brahminical principles. We must protect the Brahminical community. So he went to the king of that country where he is living, and he petitioned the king, oh, please help us. Let us march to Keturigram, where Narottam Thakur was living, and he was there in the company of Srila Ramachandra Kaviraj, and Ganga Narayan Chakravarti was there, and so many of his disciples and followers. Let us march there, and let us establish that the Brahminical caste is above the Vaishnavas. Let's destroy that sentimental Narottam. Let's demolish his preaching. So they went there, and the king, whose name was Nrisimha Maharaja, he got so much fired up with that, and he decided, okay, yes, please gather all the pandits, we're going to go. And then they gathered all the pandits from the country, from neighboring states, and they all came together. So they're marching there, and they're nearing. And then the rumors, some news reaching Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and he's hearing that this king, who is surrounded by the pandits, are coming to challenge him. And then Srila Narottam Das Thakur said, I don't want to fight. I don't want to accept this challenge. Whatever they want, they can do. I'm not going to fight with them. I'm not going to get into this debate. But then Ramachandra Kaviraj is there, Ganga Narayan Chakravarti is there, and they say, oh, Prabhu, do not worry about anything. We will handle that pandit. We will handle all of them. So don't worry, just let us do it. And Narottam Das Thakur is giving his blessing. So they're disguised as the shopkeepers. One of them is selling betel nuts, betel leaves, another one is selling earthen pots, and they're pushing those carts, and they're arriving to the town, not so far from Keturigram, and where the pandits and the king camped. And as we know, the Brahmanas, they like to eat. They need some betel nuts. They need some clay cups to drink from, eat from. So they're sending their followers, their disciples, to look for something like that. And then one disciple, he sees, oh, these two peddlers, shopkeepers, they arrived and they're selling exactly what we need. So he is approaching them and he's asking, how much is your betel nut and how much is your earthen pot? And then one of them, Ramachandra Kaviraj, he answers in pure Sanskrit. And that disciple is bewildered. He doesn't even understand what he's saying, but he recognizes that he's speaking perfect Sanskrit. So in fear, he goes back to his guru, to another Pandit, and he tells the story. And then that Pandit comes. And again, the same thing happens. He is defeated, humiliated. And he goes back to the camp and he's saying, what I could understand that they're followers of that Narottam. So if they're that advanced, what are we going to do? And then all the Pandits are fired up and the whole group going there and they're challenging. One by one, they're challenging Srila Ganganarayan Chakravarti Thakur and Ramachandra Kaviraj. And they refute, very politely, they refute all the challenges. So they're defeating all the Pandits. And then like in India, we know if anything happened in India, even if you bargain with the rickshaw for a rupee, there will be a group of people gathering around you. They want to know what's going on. So the whole town gathered around and they're listening what is going on. And then they're observing what is happening. And then some people commenting, oh, this Pandit, they came like roaring lions. And now they're running away like beaten dogs with their tails between their legs. And of course, they're all humiliated. And then they go back to the king, they go back to the main Pandit. And they're saying, what are we going to do? If we cannot defeat these two lovely servants, disciples of Narottam, then how can we go and challenge Narottam? We will be defeated, humiliated. So better we consider our strategy. And that night, the goddess Kali, she appears in the dream of that main Pandit who was actually worshipping her. And she says that I'm ready. She's with the sword in the hand and she's saying, I'm ready to take your head, but I give you one more chance. If you surrender yourself at the lotus feet of Narottam Das Thakur, then if he gives you mercy, then you will survive. Otherwise, I'm taking your head. So it is up to you. And then the king is also having some dream. He's really worried and he's saying, if I'm not doing it right now, if I'm not surrendering to Narottam Das Thakur, then I will abandon my kingdom. It's such a shameful defeat. There's nothing I can do. I don't want to leave anymore. And of course, the next morning, instead of challenging, they're arriving to Keturi Gram. And with a humble mood, they're approaching the lotus feet of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And Srila Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur composed beautiful prayers in the praise of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And one of them, he is saying, Karunya Drishti Samitas Vichamantu Koti. He's saying that with his merciful glance, just by his glance, he absolves, surrendered from millions of offenses, absolves them from millions of sins. So, of course, Narottam Das Thakur, he is giving him his mercy. And then the next day, they all gathered, they're taking bath in Ganges, and they're going and taking initiation, Diksha from Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Every single Pandit becomes his disciple, including the king Narasimha. And that is not enough. He sends for queen. The queen comes. And after association with Narottam Das Thakur, she gets so much inspired that she decides to chant 64 rounds daily. So she's fully devoted. Everybody is devoted. And we can finish the glorification with that shloka of Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur. Karunya drishti samitashvita mantukoti ramyat arodit apisundara danta kanti shiman narottama mukhambuja mandahasya lasyat tanotu hidime vitarat padasya. So he's saying that, like we mentioned before, with just his glance, he absolved millions, surrendered souls from millions of sins that they could commit. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's saying further that his moon-like face decorated with a beautiful smile. So let that smile forever play in my heart and bestow upon me his service. Jai Srila Narottam Das Thakur ki jai, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Maharaj.
And did you talk about
Jai.
and the other deity at Radha-Gokulananda? I just came back.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
We mentioned
so are we
everything.
ready to go to Radha Raman?
Yes.
Maharaj, shall we go to the Sri Radha Raman Mandir?
Yes, Maharaj, wonderful idea. We just sent somebody up the road. They saw the green light shining outside, so we know the deities are open. So let us go without delay.
Hare Krishna.
But we need to go with the chanting 2 Maha Mantras from the temple there, kindly.
Two Maha Mantras. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Did you have the mic?
Right. So now let us come inside. Here you cannot wear socks and you cannot bring in an umbrella. Keep this in mind. So leave this outside. And let us come in, and as we go inside, we go up some little steep steps, short steep steps, and then a step down, which I can only think is so that if Vrindavan does flood at all in the heavy rain, that the rain doesn't go inside. So now, yes, let's come in front of Sri Radha Raman Jiu, as we see, deity of Sri Radha Raman, and worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And this temple, always there's some live kirtan, live activities are taking place inside the Radha Raman temple. And actually, it's very alive temple with like regular traditional programs that take place throughout the year, festivals in the temple itself. But above all, we can say every devotee going in there feels it's sweet, 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 a very sweet place, very gentle place. It's one of the very few places actually that Srila Gurudev in our times when we went to Vrindavan and were there with him, it's one of the few places that Gurudev himself went to. And so this is a special temple, and we can come in, give our obeisances to Sri Radha Raman Jiu ki Jai, and then Krishna's arranged for us a sitting place for all 70 plus participants, 70 screens plus many more. Maybe there are 100 of us here, but we've got a nice sitting place where we can also hear easily. Radha Raman has made this arrangement for us today. And so let us be here and let us humbly invite Maharaj. We are in this special place. We have your special leadership, humbly inviting you, Maharaj, to say a few words for our enlightenment and encouragement.
Just please put the picture of Radha Raman. Just the incomparable beauty of Sri Radha Ramanji is just, he's maybe small, but he seems to be one of the most powerful deities that you'll ever have the good fortune to have darshan of. And just extraordinary beauty. And we hear that, well, we'll talk more about his appearance, and then I'm going to say something about Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Radha Ramanji, and then Srila Avadhut Maharaj will speak. But just to say, so how did such a beautiful deity appear to Gopal Bhatta Goswami Prabhu? First, let us understand, Gopal Bhatta Goswami is from the high-class South Indian family. It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, as the Kali Yuga gets worse and worse, still the southern part of the country will retain its religious adherence, and that Dakina Desh, the southern part, it'll still be strong there. And so particularly this Ramanuja line, Sri Sampradaya, his uncle is Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, whom we will discuss in a day or so. And Father Venkata Bhatta, whom Mahaprabhu met when he was touring South India and upgraded him to his Krishna conception. With why does your Lakshmi want to have rasa with my Krishna? In the very beautiful, sweet way, little humorously, Mahaprabhu upgrades him to show that Gopi Bhav, the Gopi Bhav of the Goswamis, if you look at those slokas, Gopi Bhava Rasamrita Dilahari, Kalola Magno Muhur. Srinivasa Acharya says, Gopal Bhatta Goswami and the others, they're drowning in an ocean of Gopi Bhav. And what is that? This exclusive vision of Krishna, to the exclusion of all other things, even all other Krishna conceptions. Dwaraka Krishna, they dismiss. So, and Gopal Bhatta, he's holding the South Indian Brahmins, and to this day, they're holding the dignity, most dignified position in society. And technically speaking, without going into too much technical detail, Rup, Sanatan, Raghunath, they were disqualified, although Brahmins by some technicalities, so not considered to be the highest representative of Brahminical culture in the society. So we're told, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, what does Srinivas say? Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kunipanon, Shastra Nipun. They're extracting from the scriptures the essence, the creme de la creme, because it's not always easy to, as we see, you read this, it can be confusing, or you think it's taking you in another direction. They're extracting the essence of that, and it will always go toward this destination. As we'll see, Radha Dasyam, the service of the holy lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. But Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he's reading all the Shastras and like madly, oh, here's, he's going to prove this and support it. And he's extracting all these slokas, and a huge pile is accumulating in his room. He has no time to even, like this should go in this pile. He's just another one, because everything he sees is not only Krishna-centric, but in terms of this aspiration of service of Srimati Radharani, the Gopi Bhav, Gopi vision. So in that view, he's pulling all these things, and then no time to structure or organize. So Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, they see all of these slokas, and then Sanatana and Jiva are like, okay, this will go in the pile on, divinity of Krishna. Here's about surrender. This is Archan, and they make a book called the Hari-Bhakti-Vilasa, right? Which says all the proper behavior for Vaishnavas. He's showing how Vaishnavas should behave, how they should observe festivals, initiation, diksha, everything, and how, in Archan Padati, how to worship deities properly. And we see to this day, the standard of deity worship and the Radha Raman temple is just exceptional. I don't think there's a parallel. It's just so perfect. Well, we would say the other parallel would be in Puri, where we're told what they do, you follow that if you don't know what to do in any particular instance. And those Radha Raman Goswamis, to their credit, when everyone else was barring the door and dismissing Saraswati Thakur, prohibiting entrance for he and his disciples, the Radha Raman Goswamis recognized him as his pure devotional bhajan, and he was welcomed in their temple. And Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, Prabhupada, they all respected that. So Gopal Bhatta, when they, Sanatan and Jiva make this Hari-Bhakti-Vilasa, if we present it in our name, then the Brahmins may say, oh, they're kayastas, they're making excuses for this, as opposed to establishing its credibility. So they put the name of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, so that, how should we say? So there's just no question of he's got that pedigree of the South Indian Brahmin. You have to accept it if it's coming from him. So they use the name, the prestige of that family line to establish this work. And Srila Guru Maharaj mentioned, in terms of that Archan Padati, 2 significant slokas there, and show this deep connection with the Rupa Nuga line, where he says, Govinda Balabhe Radhe Parte Tamaham Sada. That he said, Guru Maharaj says, Krishna says, oh, you want a direct connection with me? That's not my department. That's how Guru Maharaj said, it's not my department. If you want connection with me, Govinda Balaba. There's Govinda is Krishna. He's saying, you must go to Govinda Ballabha, the lover of Krishna, the one who's most beloved to Krishna. That means Srimati Radharani. Through her, you'll get a connection with me. And we may think, can this be true? Is this real? Guru Maharaj gives his telescopic system, saying, you normally put something before the eye, it's opaque, but if you put a lens, not only is it not opaque, but it's bringing that which is distant and unclear nearer and in focus. So he's saying the devotional eye of the intermediate devotee. That's the principle. But what to speak of when it is Srimati Radharani, who can extract the maximum from Krishna, far beyond the constitutional capacity of a finite jiva soul. So Krishna himself is saying that here and elsewhere, but particularly in this prayer of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, go to her. You'll get the most substantial connection with me through her. And what's the other sloka Guru Maharaj mentions? Vrindavanadishe Korunamrita Vahini. His prayer to Radharani saying, you are like a never-ending stream of nectarine mercy, bringing everyone in connection with Krishna. Korun means compassionate. It is actually Radharani's mercy that she wants to extend service to Krishna to everyone else and bring them in connection with Krishna. Even sometimes, although the devotees do not desire that, they find that suddenly they're alone with Krishna. Radharani would like to push them, but then they think, no, but we're always pushing her. She's the most qualified. But sometimes out of her inconceivable compassion and causeless mercy, she arranges for those servitors to meet with Krishna. So that Gopal Bhatta Goswami, situated there, extracting from the scriptures their essence, the day of Nrisimha Chaturdashi came and made him think he was a worshiper of shelagrams. He had 12 shelagram shilas that he would keep in a box. And you'll see outside the temple there, on our way out, Madhusudan Maharaj will direct us, you'll see the original altar, right? This temple was made to protect Radha Raman from invaders, right? So we always wonder, why is it so hidden? That's the idea, to protect the deity. But there's another altar outside that was the original one, beneath this tree that hung his shelagram shilas. So on Nrisimha Chaturdashi, Gopal Bhatta is thinking like, Prahlad Maharaj, he's such a great devotee. By his love, the love in the heart of Prahlad Maharaj, Nrisimhadev came out of the pillar. But my heart is like stone. No Krishna appearing from this stone-like heart of mine. I'm so unfortunate. But Prahlad's such a great devotee. I'm just in awe and appreciation of the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. And he goes to sleep, and then in the dream, Gopal Bhatta, Gopal, wake up and go check your shelagrams. You think, oh, maybe something's wrong. I'm getting some message from the Lord. I must check on him. He goes to see his shelagrams, and they're not 12, but 11. And the 12th he sees before him as the beautiful, inconceivably beautiful, incomparably beautiful Radha Raman Jiu. So we can say from the heart of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, this most beautiful form of Krishna and deity of Krishna appeared. Jai, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. And Avadhut Maharaj loved so much the beauty of Radha Raman, and particularly the eyes of Radha Raman. So when we have our Govardhan Giriraj, Avadhut Maharaj said, I will bring the Radha Raman eyes for our deity. And so we're also happy dancing about that. So Maharaj, if you say some words and glorification of Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Radha Ramanji.
Just follow context what Goswami Maharaj said. Just want to add a few things, not too much. But first of all, I want to say that I'm super impressed by Paramananda Prabhu's Harikatha. I think he's holding it, his Harikatha for next coronavirus depth pandemic occasion where he'll be fully walking in a sannyas dress.
Taking us from Koron to Korun.
Yes.
Right.
And that tells also there were some divine merchants. That gives us hope that we are merchants, no doubt, but through this kind of association and practice, we can get that sukriti. And I was very pleased with the story that Paramananda Prabhu told. Gives my heart some hope. And when
Yes.
Maharaj spoke, I thought, what else can I add to Goswami Maharaj's talk? Because normally when Goswami Maharaj take lunch, he'll take little something, but he'll cover the whole dishes, you know, he'll do. So in this regard, I would say, I was fortunate to be able to travel in South India, and especially Kerala, and there's one of the famous temple called Guruvayur, which is technically Vishnu Murti that's been worshipped by Krishna in Dwaraka, Krishna himself, and giving him to by Vasudev. So when they asked him, how did you get this exalted position with gopis? Krishna said, well, I will worship the Lord. I worship the Lord Vishnu. But it's interesting that Murti is technically four-headed Vishnu, but it's named Krishna Guruvayur. So the question is why? And it says to some great sages, it reveals Krishna. So whoever's devotee is going, he see Krishna. Normally in South Indian tradition, it's a hardcore Shalagram Shila worshipper, Narayan, Vishnu, and Gopal Bhatta must be that kind of education. And coming to connection with Mahaprabhu, you know, through his family and his incredible fortune, and now we understand he's one of the divine associates of the Lord, but it's Leela. So as we spoke last time, the higher idea will always observe and digest lower idea, like mercury. Mercury, it's a great metal. It dissolves any kind of metal into mercury, the silver, the gold, anything. So Mahaprabhu conception is so powerful, it will observe everything. Not only will observe, it will increase the quality and make it more beautiful. So in this case, with Gopal Bhatta Goswami, we can see that the Shalagram Shilas came to him by the divine will of the Lord, but that was not enough. Yeah. So they appeared to him mysterious way. He didn't he didn't buy them or didn't ask. Just Lord himself manifest. But we would say, well, that's already enough and wonderful. But that was like just the beginning of the story. So Lord appeared to him himself, and as Krishna appeared himself to devotees, like when Krishna took form of Narayan and hide from gopis, first they run away to him. They wouldn't even care if it's Narayan, but then they said, well, if there's a God there, Narayan Murti, let's pray to him to get Krishna. So if you remember that story when Narayan started melting, and he's like melting, and then gopis recognize, no, that's not Narayan, that's you. You know, you're hiding from us. It's the same thing. It's like the Shila melt through the heart of Gopal Bhatta and appear in this most beautiful, amazing way. And the beauty of this deity is represent beauty of the heart. So we can say you cannot see Krishna by your physical eyes or your material senses, but through the heart. And as Srila Goswami Maharaj said, well, sometimes when we talk about devotee, he has a magnified heart, which means his heart is so intensive Krishna service for Krishna consciousness that through his heart, you see the Krishna is more and more beautiful, which is proven Chaitanya Charitamrita when Krishnadas Kaviraj revealing that when gopis look at the Krishna, they become more beautiful. When Krishna look at the gopis, they become more beautiful. So in this kind of divine spiritual principle, we can see this is not just a Krishna of any kind. It's the Krishna of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, the most beautiful and amazing Krishna. And through his divine pastimes, that's the way we can see him. Because, we knew that there's Sakshi Gopal story, that deity story, Gopal story, Gopinath story, Madhavendra Puri story. But we also know that's not happened to common people. So in Charitamrita, it's mentioned that you are both of my eternal associates. Only because of that, I appear to you. It doesn't mean it's a very common condition when you come to the temple, you start talking to the deity, and deity start talking to you. That's not how it works. So the devotee has to, out of his desire intensity, Krishna Bhakta Rasa Bhavita Matich, Priyati Yati Kutopi Labhyate, Atra Lailam, Ekamulyam Ekalam, Janma Koti Sukritayana Labhyate. If there is some loilam, then Krishna will appear. Otherwise, why Krishna has appeared? Why Krishna has to talk to someone? Why Krishna has to, glimpse at somebody? That's not what Krishna is interested in. Billions of siddhas, yogis, and gods and asuras. Everybody worships Krishna, so he's not interesting to react to anyone and everyone. But Yemi Bhakta Jana Partha, was Krishna say, I do not believe. If somebody will tell I'm Hare Krishna, I do not believe that. I'm sorry, I cannot accept that. But Mad Bhakta Aparama, but if somebody will express his devotion to my devotee, then I consider this serious. Then I consider this as a proper direction. So, we've just been witnessing this amazing thing. And as Maharaj said, the Moscow deity, we had, it's a whole different story, but we had a lot of trouble to define this deity. And even after that deity has been there for some time, like I thought, what is lacking this deity? And I said, eyes, this Radha Raman eyes. And when we say Madhuram, Madhuram, Bhajate, Madhuram, Madhurasya, Vibhor, Madhuram, Vadanam, when we say this mad praise of Bimavango, we know it's about eyes, it's about lips. That's how you remember beloved. Your appearance, the smile, the beautiful face, as Paramananda mentioned. So that smile stays, that eyes stays. And again, as Guru Maharaj's world, he's been very clearly indicated, because I asked Goswami Maharaj, so what would be the Moscow deity? And he said, like Radha Raman, because we're talking about different, same, but different, as we say in Thailand. When people talk about Hare Krishna mantra, God knows what they mean. Like, especially Indians. But when we talk about what our gurus would perceive from holy name, that's like Radha Raman, Radhika Raman. That's Guru Maharaj's exclusive explanation. So add Mahaprabhu to that, and that's become that Sankirtan, and add Giriraj Govardhan. So basically Radha Raman in Vrindavan in his original form, because Giriraj is there, Mahaprabhu is there, but in Moscow we had to add Mahaprabhu, and which is Gurudev established. We had to add Giriraj Govardhan. Then it's become super accessible, and of course through our Guru Varga. So thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
An opportunity. I shouldn't be speaking today, listening mainly, but I've got this fortune to speak.
Jai Sri Avadhut Maharaj ki Jai. Maharaj, and you're reminding me of that, just to conclude here, that Srila Guru Maharaj, we know his at his birth, his mother was anticipating some difficulties. So we're told, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam, like his name, protection, Ramnam. So his mother, they named him Ramendra Chandra Bhattacharya. So like that Rama's making for a safe, what do you call it? Birth. So then he comes to Saraswati Thakur for initiation, and Srila Saraswati Thakur changes his name, modifies it to become Ramendra Sundar, right? So, but the mother's idea was Ramachandra for protection. But Srila Guru Maharaj always, going for the detail and the depth, was saying, so I'm being initiated, Harinam, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. So, and now Ramendra Sun. So he asked Saraswati Thakur, how shall we understand Rama? We say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How should we understand that Rama? And he said, Saraswati Thakur said to him, Radha Raman, Raman Radha, means the lover of Srimati Radharani, Radha Raman. And Guru Maharaj said, And that sound, the voice of Srila Saraswati Thakur saying Radha Raman, he said, is still ringing in my ear. Right? So Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Sri Jiva Go Palako. So Madhusudan Maharaj, can you say the final, I think for today? Oh, his mic, I don't hear you.
Okay, Maharaj, yes, I'm here.
Now.
So Maharaj, I have a question of you. Is there anywhere where you may like to stop after leaving the Radha Raman temple and heading back to our temple?
Is it too late for lassi? Well, Krishna, Guru Maharaj said, Krishna's favorite food is milk and yogurt and butter and all these things. So we can understand that the lassi must be appreciated by him. So Maharaj is alluding, oh, there we go.
There we are.
And they make these lassis in Vrindavan. What is it? It looks like a little saffron and some pistachio, maybe. Very extraordinary. And all the devotees. And I think the Chinese devotees who are not normally big milk drinkers, this is the exception. This they really like, right, Leelavati? I was surprised. They all became ecstatic drinking this nectarine substance on our way back to our Seva Kunj ashram. So thank you for reminding me of that, Maharaj.
Maharaj, very happily. Actually, it's being with you, passing through this route, that we are reminded of that. So it's a circular.
As Gurudev would say, this is my situation. Because sometimes I was a little embarrassed about this, to be truthful. And when I took Sripat Bhakti Premik Siddhanti Maharaj, I know Mahatma Gandhi Road very well. And Maharaj's cloth is always a little short, such a tall figure. And I know where to get the long cloth, the 50-inch that would be appropriate for him. And I thought, Saraswati Thakur told Guru Maharaj, improve your dress. Improve your dress. He wanted Guru Maharaj to dress better because he was such a sadhu. So Siddhanti Maharaj reminded me like that. So I took him there, got the good cloth for him. And then we're so thirsty and it's so hot. And I showed him this one place called Ralli's Singh. They sell sarbat. And the Bengalis, first time they told her to say, you know about relishing? And I was going, Prabhu, we don't discuss that. That is for the higher side. No, relishing. No, Prabhu, really. I mean, that's not something that we're going to talk about. And they go, no, rallies, sing, sarbat. And they're like, oh, relishing, you know. So, and Vaishnava Maharaj, he spent many an hour there as well. So we went there and you have these sarbat drinks, we know gulab, kas, this, that, you know, wonderful. They're like divine nectarine drinks and they're very cooling and refreshing. We had a couple of them, then returned to the Dum Dum Park Mat. And as you see, I don't know how many mantras we chant on the way from Mahatma Gandhi Road or Girish Park until we reach, what is the last stop? Gachi? Belgachi, you know. But anyway, so then we come back and Gurudev, everyone knows, on his veranda, you can't walk by him with a bag after you've been shopping without him stopping you and making you show the contents. So, and how much you paid, you know, and we're showing all the cloth and Gurudev nodding. And I think, oh, we got off pretty easy, showed him the cloth, you know, the price is good by, you know, modern standard. And I'm trying to like make it to my room. And then he goes, did you eat anything? And I think, well, Maharaj, you know, I'm shy to say, but we're very thirsty. And I told Siddhanti Maharaj about this one shop that I used to go when I was collecting life membership. We would go there for some refreshments when it's just so unbearably hot to get some refreshed and cooled down and everything. And then Gurudev said, I used to also go. And I was like, oh, thank the Lord. And he said, when I was selling Swami Maharaj's Back to Godhead magazine and collecting for Guru Maharaj in Calcutta, sometimes it's so hot, I was also going there. And then I said, then you can understand I am your true follower. And we all laughed. And so this, it may seem a bit whimsical or non-standard, but also some love and affection and just heartfelt interaction. After the devotees so much on parikrama, we stopped there to give them a little refreshment and to taste some of that nectarine substance on the way back to the safety and shelter of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, Seva Kunj, where the deities of Gandharvika, Radha Rasabihari Jiu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and the Murti of Srila Guru Maharaj is there.
And the small deities, Maharaj, also of Radha Rasabihari Jiu, that have been residing there at the house just behind for many generations.
Yes, Maharaj. So that, please conclude this portion for today.
All right, so we can only travel, as you know, as you all know, if we have Harinam Sankirtan. This is the parikramas. So let us do parikrama, and we'll come back and we'll arrive at our Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat in Seva Kunj Vrindavan for some shower, some rest, prasadam, and tomorrow is a new day. And we'll find out where we go tomorrow.
Hey Krishna. Jai. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Garadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Jai Go Jai Gori Charana Bandhan. Jaha Hoite Vignana Sabisa Puran. Jai Go Jai Jar Muni Tarodas. Kansavara Padarenu Maura Panchagras. Chandara Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas. Janame More Abhilas. Jai Go Jai Jabe Bajai Koelo Vas. Sri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korilo Prakash. Oh Anande Goro Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Sri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Sri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Kirtan Kore Narottam Das. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Sri Brajamando Parikrama Ki Jai. Vande Rupa Sanatano Raguri Go Shijiva Gopal Go Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Charja Satara Siddha Sri Srimad Sulbhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Sulbhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Sulbhakti Siddhanti Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Thakur Srila Gaura Kishoras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Sri Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Jiu Ki Jai. Sri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Rup Sanatan Bhatu Raghunath Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Radha Raman Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasudhi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Govina Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Seva Kunjanshram Ki Jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Jumuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Om Vishnubad Vishva Varenya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Bhavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Kusum Asram Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Vijay Trivikram Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadhut Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sri Paramananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Munanda Mohan Prabhu Ki Jai. Krishna Kanta Didi Ki Jai. Kesavananda Prabhu Ki Jai. All the Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Seva Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Jai.
Hey, Krishna. Can you have that mic?
Всего мира через Zoom мы проводили сегодня четвертый день Вриндаван Парикрама, и уже наша Парикрама.
Please show the maximum amount of devotees.
69 windows of
Jai Rupi Vilas Prabhu. Jai Sulakshana Didi, of course. Ananda Swarup Prabhu, Prem Narayan Prabhu, Sri Lekha Didi, Praneshri Didi, Anindita, Devidasi. Nityananda Das doing the Russian translation. Dhananjay Chaitanya Moyi in Rome. And Janvi and Maheshwari Didi, the light of Delhi, Sandeep Krishna Prabhu, there in Hastinapur, Greater Hastinapur. And Narayani and her group, and which city are they in? Kharkiv. Sri Hari Das Prabhu in Brazil. Ekadashi, and yes, and looks like, is it Jagannatha? I can't tell, I can't see, but in Tomsk in Siberia. Oh, and Braja Sundari, Devidasi in Israel. Today, she received the Gayatri Mantra Diksha. I did on behalf of Srila Gurudev. Very beautiful. Hare Krishna. Suresh Krishna Prabhu in Riga. Ravindra Krishna Prabhu. In South Africa, Sushmita Devidasi, Hare Krishna. In China, Nirupama Devidasi. In the Ukraine, Chandrakanti Devi and Shenzhen. Where is Sue Devi? She's sleeping. I guess. Dayavati Devidasi. Hare Krishna. Rishikesh, Jai Sripad Bhakti Sevan Rishikesh Maharaj.
Jai.
Jai Srila Bhakti Sevan Rishikesh Maharaj. He has many his disciples there in Abhazia, right? And they have Mahaprabhu and their the deities' names. He knows.
Radha Girid Hari.
Madhusudan Maharaj? Giridhari. All right, yes. Back to this.
I believe so.
Yes. Dandavat Maharaj. Please show the view where I see many. Gallery. Hare Krishna. Iravati. Virachandra Prabhu. Subhashini Didi. Mahamantra. Yes. Madhavi Lata. She's on loan from the Chiang Mai Gupta Govardhan. Vijayanti, of course, she's here. Purushottam Prabhu. Dandavat. The earth is the place that's perfect. It is the reflection of the highest aspect of the spiritual world. Indumukhi spoke so nicely. Hare Krishna, Ajita Krishna Prabhu, Sugandha Kanti Devi, Dandavat. And who here? Lilavati.
This is the teacher of Susmita.
Oh, Dandavat. Call her name. Say we're saying hello. No, talk to the mic. Don't talk to the picture here. Maybe she can hear. Okay. And
that brother, she's in Mayapur right now.
Really?
Yeah, they're in the corner.
Jai. And Mayapur. Jai. Where in Mayapur?
Just nearby ISKCON.
So the ISKCON Chandradoya Mandir, Sri Ram Mayapur, that divine abode, appearance place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
You know the Hare Prabhu?
Yes. It's nice to see. They're like the expanded petals of the lotus of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. Balaram Das in Moscow. Hare Krishna.
Vishvanath Goswami says it's impossible for me to mention all of them.
Yes. So if I haven't mentioned anyone, that is my misfortune. But understand, we appreciate all of you. And I'll say more about that tomorrow, actually. Remind me to. I have a message for all the viewers. So, Bancha Kalpa Trubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Our Dandavat pranams to one and all. Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. And to all the Vaishnavas ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda.